From quiet suburban garages in the 1960s to highways echoing with the roar of V8 engines, American muscle cars didn't just get faster, they redefined what raw power meant. At a time when European manufacturers focused on precision and handling, the United States took a completely different path. American engineers asked a simple but bold question. What happens if you take a relatively small, lightweight car and drop in the biggest engine you can possibly fit? The answer arrived in 1964 with the Pontiac GTO, a machine that ignored subtlety and delivered straight-line speed with unapologetic force. That moment didn't just introduce a new car, it launched an entire era. What made muscle cars so powerful wasn't just one feature, but a philosophy. These cars were built around massive V8 engines, often pushing 5 to 7 liters of displacement, producing huge amounts of horsepower and torque. Unlike smaller, high-revving engines, these big blocks generated power instantly, delivering aggressive acceleration the moment you touched the throttle. Cars like the Ford Mustang, Chevrolet Camaro, and Dodge Charger became legends because they focused on one thing above all else, dominating in a straight line. They sent all that power to the rear wheels, creating tire smoke, noise, and a driving experience that felt raw and untamed. As competition heated up, manufacturers pushed the limits even further in what became known as the horsepower wars. Engines like the 426 Hemi and massive big block V8S turned these cars into monsters of acceleration. There was little concern for efficiency or refinement. This was about speed, sound, and presence. The design was simple but effective. More fuel, more air, bigger explosions, and therefore more power. That simplicity is exactly what made muscle cars so special. They didn't rely on complex technology, they relied on brute force. Even today, modern muscle cars still carry that same DNA. While they now include advanced engineering, better handling, and modern safety features, the core idea hasn't changed. Under the hood, you'll still find large, powerful engines designed to deliver instant performance. The reason American muscle cars are so powerful isn't just engineering, it's identity. They were built in a culture that valued boldness, speed, and dominance, and that mindset shaped every aspect of their design. In the end, muscle cars aren't just machines, they're a statement. Loud, aggressive, and built to prove that sometimes more really is more. And just as the muscle car era hit its peak, it nearly disappeared. By the early 1970s, a combination of stricter emissions regulations, rising insurance costs, and the global oil crisis forced manufacturers to dial things back. Horsepower figures dropped, compression ratios were lowered, and many of the legendary engines that once defined the streets were either detuned or discontinued entirely. The golden age of muscle seemed to fade almost overnight. For a while, the cars still looked aggressive, but under the hood, much of that raw intensity had been softened. It was a reminder that power alone wasn't enough. External pressures could reshape even the boldest engineering philosophies. But muscle cars didn't die. They adapted. Through the 1980s and 1990s, performance slowly clawed its way back, this time with better technology supporting it. Fuel injection replaced carburetors, improving efficiency and control. Engine management systems allowed for more precise tuning, squeezing more performance out of every drop of fuel. Cars like the later generations of the Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro began to reintroduce speed in a more refined way. They might not have matched the outrageous numbers of the late 60s just yet, but they laid the groundwork for something even more impressive. Then came the modern era. And this is where things truly changed. Instead of choosing between raw power and drivability, manufacturers figured out how to deliver both. Advanced materials made cars lighter and stronger, while computer-controlled systems optimized performance in real time. Engines became more efficient without losing their aggressive character. The return of high-performance icons like the Dodge Challenger signaled that muscle wasn't just back. It had evolved into something far more capable. Take today's supercharged V8 engines, for example. They produce levels of horsepower that would have been unimaginable during the original muscle car era, yet they remain surprisingly manageable on everyday roads. Features like traction control, launch control, and adaptive suspension allow drivers to harness that power instead of being overwhelmed by it. The experience is still visceral. The sound, the acceleration, the presence, but it's now backed by precision engineering that keeps everything under control. And yet, despite all these advancements, the core idea hasn't changed. American muscle cars are still built around a simple principle: deliver maximum performance in the most direct way possible. They prioritize acceleration, engine output, and that unmistakable feeling when the car surges forward under full throttle. While other performance cars might chase balance or finesse, muscle cars embrace excess. They don't apologize for being loud or powerful. In fact, that's the entire point. Culturally, their impact has been just as significant as their engineering. From street racing scenes to blockbuster films, muscle cars have become symbols of freedom, rebellion, and individuality. They represent a kind of mechanical confidence, a belief that bigger, louder, and stronger can be better when done right. That identity has helped them survive decades of change, evolving without losing what made them special in the first place. So why are American muscle cars so powerful? It's not just because of large engines or clever engineering tricks, it's because they were designed with a clear, uncompromising purpose from the very beginning. Every decision, from engine size to drivetrain layout, was made to maximize performance and deliver an unforgettable driving experience. Over time, technology refined that formula, but it never replaced it. In the end, muscle cars aren't defined by a single era or a specific model. They're defined by an attitude, one that values raw strength, bold design, and the thrill of acceleration above all else. And as long as that mindset exists, the spirit of the American muscle car will continue to push the limits of what power really means. And just when it seemed like muscle cars had already proven everything they needed to prove, the story kept evolving. Because the real reason American muscle cars are so powerful isn't locked in one era. It's a mindset that keeps adapting. After the horsepower wars faded in the 1970s, many thought that raw performance would never truly return. But instead of disappearing, it rebuilt itself with smarter engineering. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, performance was no longer just about stuffing the biggest engine possible into a car. It became about extracting more power with precision. Manufacturers began refining airflow, improving combustion efficiency, and introducing forced induction systems like superchargers. This meant engines could produce far more power without simply increasing size. The result? Cars that were not only faster but more consistent and controllable. The modern Ford Mustang and Chevrolet Camaro didn't just revive the muscle car, they redefined it. They kept the aggressive character but added a level of engineering sophistication that earlier generations never had. Then came the true monsters of the modern era. Cars like the Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat pushed the limits of what a production car could be. With supercharged V8 engines producing over 700 horsepower, these machines brought back the fear factor that defined the original muscle cars, but with far greater control. You weren't just driving something fast anymore, you were commanding something incredibly powerful, yet engineered to stay stable even under extreme acceleration. What's fascinating is that despite all this technology, the core philosophy hasn't changed. American muscle cars still focus on delivering power in the most direct way possible. The throttle response is immediate, the acceleration is aggressive, and the entire experience is designed to feel intense. Other performance cars might aim for perfect balance or track precision, but muscle cars prioritize something different: the emotional impact of power. It's not just about how fast the car is on paper, it's about how it feels when you drive it.